Here we go, finishing up our discussion of theater style. As we have said, theater style is an important consideration for a play production. It is the way that the play production is presented and the effect that it renders on its audience. When interpreting the style for a play, a director considers how the playwright has treated what we refer to as the unities of time, place, and action. These three unities were outlined by our good friend Aristotle in his seminal work, Poetics. In Poetics, Aristotle speaks of the basic ingredients of good drama. He stated that drama should attempt to create on stage a unity of time, place, and action. In other words, the way that time, place, and action are treated on stage should reflect the way that they are treated in real life. To this end, realistically styled plays tend to observe the unities of time, place, and action. Theatrical plays are not concerned with these unities. So let's take a look at how the unities of time, place, and action are rendered on stage. The unity of time suggests that the stage should treat time in the same way that time is treated in the real world. What does this mean? There is a concept in drama that is referred to as real time. Real time asserts that if the play is 2 hours long, then the time the characters experienced on stage should be 2 hours. Let's take a look at Master Harold and the Boys. The typical running time of that play is approximately 90 minutes. When the play is being performed, we are observing 90 minutes of the characters' lives, the same exact amount of time for the play to run. That is real time. On the other hand, if we look at Romeo and Juliet, how much time have Romeo and Juliet experienced in the 2 hours that it took for the play to run? Certainly more than 2 hours. There is at least a few weeks' time that transpires between the opening scene and the death of Romeo and Juliet. But it happens during what the prologue refers to as the 2 hours traffic of our stage. This treatment of time is often referred to as double time. Realistic plays tend to observe the unity of time, while theatrically styled plays tend to ignore the unity of time. The unity of place suggests that the stage should represent a single location during the action of that play. We see this with Master Harold and the Boys. The stage represents the interior of St. George's Park Tea Room throughout the action of the play. Conversely, when we consider how the stage is treated in Romeo and Juliet, we see that it represents many locations during the action of the play. It begins as a street in Verona, becomes the inside of the Capulets' house. It eventually becomes the Capulet garden outside Juliet's balcony. At one time during the action, the stage moves from Verona to Mantua, an entirely different city. Realistic plays tend to observe the unity of place. Theatrical plays tend to ignore this unity. The unity of action addresses the treatment of action on the stage. The unity of action asserts that the action on stage should be believable human action. Just like the action from the characters in Master Harold and the Boys, the action should be action that does not depart from action and behavior that we engage in everyday life. The theatrical style, as you've probably already guessed, ignores the unity of action. Action can be symbolic. For example, in the musical The Fantastics, night and day are represented by a character who turns a cardboard sun and moon around. The musical Peter Pan is theatrical in style as the characters are engaged in such actions as flying. For that matter, any musical, which involves characters breaking into song and dance by their very nature, ignore the unity of action and are theatrical in style. So let's summarize. Plays in the style of realism are representational in nature. That is to say that they present life in a form with which we are familiar. They attempt to create the illusion of reality by engaging the audience in a willful suspension of disbelief. One of the ways that they do this is by observing the fourth wall concept, where the character ignores the presence of the audience and creates the effect that the audience is eavesdropping on the action of the play. Realistic plays are also most like life because they tend to observe the unities of time, place, and action. Plays done in the theatrical style are presentational in nature because they present action in a form that is not familiar to our everyday expectations. The result is that they create a play that is more like a story told with dramatic action than a reenactment that unfolds before the audience. Theatrical plays tend to ignore the fourth wall concept as well as the unities of time, place, and action. As with linear and episodic plots, few plays exhibit all of the qualities of either realism or theatricalism. Good plays tend to blend styles in a way that will aid the play production and create surprises for the audience as they observe the dramatic action. Well, that's theater style. Go to your final unit task for this section and complete. We'll move on to our next topic afterwards. See you then.